Okay, before we start on this, the Math Papa calculator is going to be essential if you don't want this to take longer than it needs to. Okay. All right, now here's another use for this. A plane flies 1,850 miles from San Francisco to Los Angeles. It takes 7.75 hours to fly there and fly back. The airplane flies at a rate of 480 miles per hour if there's no wind. However, there's a wind blowing. Find the speed of the wind. Okay, so I got distance, speed, and time, and then it says one way, that'd be going to LA, and the other way he's got to get back, and then the total. So let's talk about distance. Well, one way there is 1850, and the other way there's 1850. Now to find your total miles, the distance, we can just add those together. I mean, you're not really gonna need the sum of them, but I'll do it just in case. So 3,700. Okay, now the speed of the plane is 480, but you got to understand he goes with wind, which means he would go faster, and against wind would mean he'd go slower. So I put 480, but one way is with the wind, so that would make him go faster. The other way would be slowing him down, and we don't need to worry about that, okay? Now the time it takes. Well, the time it takes to fly there and back is 7.75. That's the total. And you're like, well, couldn't you just divide that by 2 because it's the same? No, you can't, because when you go with the wind, that's going to take you a shorter time than when you go against the wind. So you cannot just divide that by 2, which is what a lot of people tend to think. But what I do know is that time is distance divided by speed. So the distance is 1850, and the speed is 480 plus x. And then on the other way, it's 1850, and then the speed is 480 minus x. By the way, it doesn't matter which one's plus x and minus x. Okay, so now we have an equation. We know that 1,850 over 480 plus x plus the fraction 1850 over 480 minus x, it's going to equal 7.75. Now let's get fractions here. And I'm going to parenthesize where you have plus minus. Now we don't have to worry about factoring those because there's no way there's a GCF, okay? Unless you wanted to change the order of that and factor out a -1, but I would suggest you don't, okay? It's going to create more hassle than needed. Okay, so again, nothing's going to factor. Okay, we got 480 plus x, 1850, and what I'm doing now is I'm just creating room. Okay, and we're going to have to come up with the lowest common denominator. So I have a parentheses of 480 plus x and a parentheses of 480 minus x. Okay. So 480 plus x, I'm at 110. Okay, so I guess the 0 needs a 480 plus x. He comes into the fray there. Or no, wait a second. It was 0 because this one didn't have any either. Okay, so 480 plus x. Okay, 480 minus x, I'm 0, 1, 0. Okay, so I need to bring in a 480 minus x here and a 480 minus x here. Okay, and the same thing here, 480 minus x times 480 minus x. Okay. Forget about the bottoms now, and now is where you really need the Math Papa calculator, because this is going to be really confusing if I have to multiply, then add like terms, and it's really going to be crappy multiplication here. So I'm going to enter this side of the equation in. So I'm going to have 1,850 times shift 8, and then we're going to have 480 minus x, parentheses 480 minus x, close that. Then we're going to add 1850 times, it's going to be 480 plus x, okay? Okay, this is all it says, 1,776,000. That's this side. Now let's see what the other side tells me. So I have 7.75 times shift 8, parentheses, 480 plus x, shift 8 again, and then parentheses 480 minus x. Okay, I got negative 7.75x squared plus 1,785,600. Okay, so this is all I have is the x squared. So I'm going to get this with this. So minus 1,785,000 or 600. Cancel. Minus 1,785,600. This is why they invent calculators. 1,177,600 minus 1,785,600. Okay. Negative 9,600. The other side is negative 7.75x squared. Okay. So then I divide. So I take negative 9,600 divided by negative 7.75. 1,239 is what I'm going to say. But the x is to the second power. Okay, so I need to square root to find the actual answer. So second square root, 1,239. 35, okay, so 35 mph is the wind. Okay, the next one. You ride your bike to a store. The trip there is 4 miles. With no wind, you can ride at a speed of 10 miles per hour. The trip there and back takes 1 hour. What's the speed of the wind? So the distance one way is 4 miles. The other way is 4, and that's going to be 8, but the 8's going to be irrelevant. The speed, okay, it says 10 miles per hour, but there's a wind, so that's going to meet a higher speed, and that's going to slow me down. Okay, and then the time. The only thing we know about the time is there and back takes 1 hour, but you can't just say 0.5 and 0.5 because it's going to take you longer without the wind than it is with the wind. Okay, so I know that the time is, so I don't really know what to put for time until I recognize that time's distance over speed. So 4 over 10 plus x, 4 over 10 minus x. And then I can write an equation, 4 over 10 plus x plus 4 over 10 minus x equals 1. Okay. Now these are parentheses, but we can't factor them. Okay, so we need our common denominators. Okay. So I've got 4, I've got 10 plus x, I've got 4, and I've got 10 minus. Now some of you are like, well, those are common denominators. No, they're not. One's a plus, one's a minus. They're all different. Okay. Okay, so LCD, set that up, and we have a 10 plus x and a 10 minus x. 10 plus x, I got 1, 0, remember minus and plus aren't the same thing, okay? Okay, now we're good on those. 10 minus x, I have 0. I got 1 and 0. So 10 minus x, 10 minus x, 10 minus x, and 10 minus x. Okay, cancel those, and now set up your equation. Now let's punch this all from the left side in. So I had 4, shift 8 multiplied by 10 minus x, close it, plus 4, shift 8, parentheses 10 plus x. Okay. It's just 80. Okay, so I put 80. That means all that crap must have canceled out except for the constant. Okay, now I go to my other side. I've got 1, shift 8, parentheses 10 plus x, close it, shift 8 again, parentheses 10 minus x. Okay. Negative x to the second plus 100, but I'm going to put a 1 in front of the x to the second. Now, I can subtract, the x second is the only x I have to worry about, so I need to isolate that. So I have negative 220, negative 1x squared, divided by negative 1, divided by negative 1, so I have 20x second. So I square root. And then the square root of 20 is going to be my answer. Now, I don't need to worry about plus negative because it's a story problem. So the wind, this is about 4.47 miles per hour. Okay. And the next one. Actually, I want to do this one here. I'm going to have your assignment be the one on the back of this. A plane travels on a flight that's 600 miles one way. The trip there and back took 4 hours. Without the wind, the plane can travel 400 miles per hour. Find the speed of the wind. Okay, so distance is 600. It's going to be the same distance back, 1,200. Okay, the speed, well, it says 400 miles per hour, but there's wind. We add it and subtract the wind because I don't know the wind speed. That's the answer. Okay, now the time. Well, I know the time it took 4 hours. Okay, so I have 600 over 400 plus x, 600, and then 400 minus x. Okay. Okay, so again, we're going to have 600, 400 plus x, plus 600 over 400 minus x, and again, those are parentheses, those right there, because they include adding and subtracting 4. Okay, so let's set up, space out some fractions, get some LCD actions. So 600 and 400 plus x, 600 and 400 minus x, and then I just got my 4. So LCD, only thing I have to worry about is 400 plus x and 400 minus x. So 100, sorry. So times 400 plus x times 400 plus x, and then 400 plus x, and then I do need to remember to multiply the 4 times that, even though I will not actually be multiplying. 4 minus x, I'm 0, 1, 0. Okay. And then we go here. Okay, and then we cancel that. Okay, so I'm looking at an equation here. Now you notice how I'm not using scratch paper because all you're going to have to worry about is the x to the second. I'm not going to have to use factoring or any of that nonsense. 400 minus x, close the parentheses, dot, 600 times 400 plus x. Whoa, I should not have done that. Okay. I don't know why I put a parentheses there. Shift plus 600, shift 8, parentheses 400 plus x. Okay. Hit calculate. 480,000. Okay. All right, now the other side. 4 times 400 plus x times 400 minus x. Negative 4x to the second power plus 640,000. Okay, so I'll be subtracting 640,000. So I have negative 4 times x to the second. So 480,000 minus 640,000, negative 160,000. And I divide by negative 4. By negative 4. Okay, I got 400,000. The answer to this is going to be ridiculous because so I find the square root of 400. 632 miles per hour. Now that is completely ridiculous. That's called me writing a problem that I shouldn't have written, but that is a procedure for it. I think this one gives you, the boat's going to give you a little bit more logical answer.